I'd say powerful quotes, and I put this in there, is that we have all the answers inside of us, within us. Everybody has the answers within them. And I've seen it even sometimes in practice sessions and in real sessions that, the client themselves came up with a solution on their own without, the therapist was a facilitator, but the client themselves came up with the answers. A lot of times we are too conditioned to not listen to our mind. I think we're so conditioned that other people are there to help us, and we need to get it from the experts and not necessarily trusting ourselves.
I believe that we need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. Welcome back to Relatable Wisdom, a podcast where everyday people share the quotes that have shaped their lives, inviting us to all reflect and grow together. Today we're joined by Albert Bramante, a veteran talent agent and psychologist who has spent over 2 decades empowering actors to rise above self-doubt and embrace their true potential. With a unique blend of industry insights and psychological expertise, Albert is passionate about helping performers navigate their creative journey with confidence and clarity. Let's dive into this heartfelt conversation and discover the wisdom that has inspired Albert along the way. Who are you and what do you do?
Okay, so my name is Albert Bramante. I am a talent agent. And I also, I'm a psychology professor. I have a PhD in psychology. So as an agent, I represent actors for film, TV, theater, commercials, some voiceover work. So I kind of represent professional actors in the New York City area in the United States, which is a performance, of the country. So that's pretty much what I do.
Okay.
Full time.
Okay. Could you share with us? And I know you feel this in the form previously, but could you share with us your most influential and most powerful quotes that has really affected you?
The most, I'd say, powerful quotes, and I put this in there, is that we have all the answers inside of us, within us.
Wow.
When it comes to life, issues, life problems and concerns. If we just listen to our inner wisdom,
Wow.
in a sense.
Oh, okay. How did you first come to this realization?
Even working sometimes with clients, in a sense, a lot of times most people just understand that they have the solutions to them. Sometimes they have to come up with their own answers themselves. In addition to being a psychology professor, I also have a background in hypnosis and NLP. Pretty much one of the suppositions of NLP and hypnosis is that, everybody has the answers within them. And I've seen it even sometimes in practice sessions and in real sessions that, the client themselves came up with a solution on their own without, the therapist was a facilitator, but the client themselves came up with the answers, whether it's, connecting, listening to your intuition, connecting to, their higher, self, or their inner wisdom.
Yeah.
So
it was all there all along.
Exactly. Sometimes it just gets lost in the shuffle.
Yeah. And we need to find it, but it's there if we'll search for it.
Of course. 100%, yes.
Yeah. Can you share some moments or certain times in your life when these quotes or this lesson has proven to be true again and again?
Even like when I wrote my book last year, I kept saying, kept thinking, took me a couple of years to write the book. And I kept sitting down, right in front of a blank screen, and I would get frustrated. Once I just said, look, I have the knowledge, it's there, and I just meditated on it. And then in 2023, I just sat down and, it took me about 2 months, but I sat down consistently and just wrote a chapter here, a chapter there, and it just flowed. It was very easy. Once I came to the mentality of I know this book, I have the knowledge already.
Wow. Okay. Wow. I mean, this sounds very recent because you said last 2023, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this sounds very recent. What about something from can we go back way back in time, 10, 15, 20 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, same thing with completing my PhD. I started that 20 years ago, my studies. And, I kept thinking to myself, I can't do, for a while, I can't do this. Especially when it came down to completing the final stretch, which was a thesis, the dissertation. And it was the same kind of principle that was floating up. Well, I can't do this. I can't do this until I had a dream one night that, I connected with in my subconscious mind, a relative in my life who had passed away. And, you know, that message that I received was kind of like, get up, stop feeling sorry for yourself and you can do this. And of course, I realized later on that was, after I woke up and reflected on it, of course, I'm not sure if anyone believes, in the life after death concept, but I also believe that was part of my self-conscious saying, okay, get working on this. And then, it took me about a year, but I did it and completed it. And, I have a PhD now because of listening to my inner wisdom in a sense.
I mean, sometimes, not all the dreams, but most of the times, I've had nights where I think about something, maybe I worry about something, and then okay, I'll give an example. There are days where I have an exam the next day, like the very, very next day. And then I go to sleep, and in the sleep, I realize that, oh, I'm writing the exam. And I'm like, and I wake up, I'm like, oh, wow, I so much thought about this that my subconscious had to start playing it while I was asleep.
Well, yeah, I do believe that was part of, the subconscious mind, is it really working? And that's how our subconscious mind communicates with us,
Yeah.
is through our dream.
Yeah. Yeah. Was there a time where you kind of doubted or questioned this belief, where it felt like the belief was not true?
A lot of times, yeah. I mean, whether, sometimes I would, even when I was writing my book, when I was in the process of writing my book before I really got serious about it, um, I knew I had the answers in one hand, but part of me kept thinking, well, who am I, to do this? See, my imposter syndrome kicked in. And I did, think I had the answers. It was like, well, so it kept popping in my head. Well, who is this person to write this book? And it was, and even when I was writing my dissertation initially, sometimes it would keep in and say, well, who am I to talk? Or it was just a dream. It wasn't real.
Wow. Oh, oh. You said earlier on that you had so many instances. I'd love to know what the other couple of instances were.
Well, just, sometimes getting encouraged to do things. And, even a lot of the things I've learned how to do, I didn't really learn through traditional education. Like I became a college professor 21 years ago, or 22 years ago. And I was kind of like put into a classroom with, on the same day's notice, like I had applied my resume, I put my resume in a couple of years ago. I just got my bachelor's at the time. And I put my resume in for a community college. I didn't hear anything for 2 years. They called me the first day of the semester saying that, two professors had walked out. We have classes that need to be filled. So I had no preparation, traditional preparation. I walked in and I just winged it. And I've been doing it ever since. I won awards for teaching, and I didn't, take any classes on how to be a professor. So I just relied on my inner wisdom
Wow.
to guide me.
Wow. Oh, now this is one of those quotes that it's subject to a lot of misunderstanding from a lot of persons. What would you say? What are some of the misunderstandings people might misinterpret the quote to mean?
I mean, I think, some people might misinterpret or dismiss the fact that, let's say you did have that visit from a relative who passed away. Um, some people may dismiss that message right away, saying, that's not true. That never happened. That's fiction. It was a dream. The important thing is we don't know that, whether it was true or not, because, again, it's the unknown. But what I will do say is that is still your subconscious mind. So whether or not it wasn't important who delivered the message, it was what message did you receive, and that's the important thing. And if you really think about it, our mind is more powerful than we can imagine.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, so just listening and trusting it
Yeah.
would be the main thing. Just try it. Give it a try and see what happens.
Yeah. A lot of persons would beg to differ that they have the answers inside of them.
Mhm.
Is it?
Yeah,
Are you saying that we're not searching enough? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know if it's enough. I just think that a lot of times we are too conditioned to not listen to our mind. I think we're so conditioned that other people are there to help us, and we don't we need to get it from the experts and not necessarily trusting ourselves. Um, and I think that's where we get well-intentioned messages from our parents, and I say well-intentioned, but they're incorrect a lot of times. By telling don't only the adults have the answers, or other people have the answers.
No. I mean, it's coming from a place of love, but
It is coming from a place of love, but it's a little misguided.
yeah, yeah,
Place of love, and they're speaking as their own fear
yeah.
themselves.
Let's take a quick pause. If you're enjoying this conversation and want more thought-provoking ideas, straight to your inbox, join the Relatable Wisdom email list. It's free, quick, and filled with bite-sized insights, inspiring quotes, and behind-the-scenes reflections from our guests. Just head to relatablewisdom.com/join. That is relatablewisdom.com/join. Or tap the link in the show notes. And hey, subscribing to the podcast helps more than you think, and it's free. So if you haven't already, hit that follow button wherever you're listening. All right. Let's get back to the conversation. They're talking to themselves. Yeah. Yeah. Uh, have you ever had to adapt or kind of reinterpret this motto as your life changed and as situation demanded?
I think I became more attuned to this because of these examples. I became more attuned to kind of listening to my own intuition and trusting my own feeling and my own inner guides or wisdom. So I think that if the change, I would say it's more listening more towards that.
Yeah. Wow. Are you in the habit of sharing this motto with with your friends, family, and the people you come across with?
To a certain level, my family is more pragmatic and probably more operating out of fear. So I'm not entirely sure they would receive that message, but I definitely do that with clients. I do that a lot on social media.
What has
You
what
know, different venues.
what has the reception been like?
A lot of times it's been very positive, because especially if they're like-minded, you know, um, and or at least they pretend to be receptive. I don't know what's going on internally.
Yeah. But I mean, the best test will be, did they come back and tell you that, wow, thank you so much for sharing that. It really changed a lot about my life.
Sometimes I have, and then also, and for me, it's not so much important that they do that. It's more important that it happens, even if they don't share that with me. If it can help them, great. Um, and I also believe that our inner wisdom sometimes can help us connect to other people. A while back, I was giving a presentation, and I don't even remember what I said, but I particularly looked at somebody who was in the audience, and then they came up to me about a day later and said, when you looked at me and said that, and I don't even remember what I said. She had said that it really, what I said to her really connected with her on such a deep level.
Oh, wow. And you probably, at that point in time, you just like going with the flow and saying, yeah. Of course, of course. But you're like, I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you actively the thing, I believe that we need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. Like, how do you actively keep this principle front and center in your daily life?
Well, even before going to bed, I think I kind of put the intention out there that if to my subconscious mind, if you have something important to say, let me know, and I'm open to that. And I just look for little things, little signs. too. I think the important thing is just to keep remembering that this knowledge. It's good to keep ourselves reminded of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very, very important. Yes, we forget the things that are valuable to us, and it leads to us making decisions and actions that we're not exactly happy about.
100%. Yes.
How do you see, okay, now we've talked about the past and we're talking about the present. How do you see this principle guiding you in the years ahead?
Well, I think I think the more and more that we become aware of it, I think that there's going to be much more understanding now than there was 10 years ago. And I think there's going to be much more future with 10 years down the line with that. But I think just even guiding along by putting the intention out there, by saying, okay, the night before, I trust you, subconscious mind, to guide me to what I need to do the next day and the next day and the next day. And I keep repeating that. And then I listen. That's the important thing. You have to listen.
Yeah, you're a psychologist, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because the question I want to ask next is dependent on the answer you gave. So that's why I had to ask the question. A lot of persons they discount their thoughts. In fact, they don't even listen, or in fact, is their thoughts does not have a space in any of the decisions they make, right? And even the things they call their thoughts is the voice of society internalized in their head, and they actually think that that's their voice, but it's not them. It's actually what society would think, what this would think, and it's not them speaking from their stuff. Well, how would someone go about, because this stuff is subconsciously, it's like it's automatic, and they're not even aware that it's controlling and happening to them. How would they go to actually listening to the things that they truly, truly want and desire, and the things that they truly, truly, truly um value? How would they go about that?
Yeah, no, very good question. I think the answer is to really figure out what do they want.
Okay.
And that might mean, are they really happy where they are right now? Take that honest assessment, that honest question. Are you happy with what you're going through right now? Are you happy with your life at the moment? And be honest. And then, if the answer is not 100% yeah, and if it's not 100% yes, then the next step is to figure out, okay, what's going wrong here? What needs to be changed for that to become 100% yes?
Cool.
And then, once that comes in, the next step is, okay, what do you need to get there? What information do you need to do to get there?
Because the thing you talked about said that we have the answers inside of. I feel that oftentimes a lot of persons, when they are starting new ventures, right, they're going to a field they've never done before. They try to compensate for their what would I call it now? Is it there's a word, what will I use for being a beginner, by trying to over consume, especially when it's a creative field that you have to do stuff. Like, let's say it's creative content, right? If I wanted to start a podcast now, I could say, okay, instead of starting the podcast and just hitting record, I could actually spend maybe 8 months reading all the textbooks and all the big books about podcasting. And so tell myself that I'm not yet ready yet. I'm trying to prepare. When in natural sense, it's just recording a conversation and having a conversation with someone. And yeah.
Well, I think in that case, even with podcasts, it's about having conversations and real connections. You're not going to get that out of a book. Keep in mind, everybody's style is different. Even the author who's writing that book, that style may work for them, but that may not work for you, or may not work for another podcaster.
Yeah.
The best learning you're going to get as a podcaster is recording episodes. And, nowadays we have the technology and the resources to just hit record and go with it. It's not going to be perfect. Recording 1 is going to be different from recording 100. Episode 100. And that's the important thing to do. And because a lot of times you can get almost like paralysis by, keeping, just focus on the reading, and you never really move forward.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
with actually putting it out there.
Yeah. I mean, this is particularly true when someone is moving from being an academic, right, from a field where you have to, like, let's say history, and you have to like do a lot of reading, and then you're moving to a field where you are like, okay, it's music, where you have to actually write and record and make music. Right?
Yeah. So it's now you actually have to do it, and that's sometimes you're going to get the best education by just doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the only way that we're going to learn is by doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. It's such a powerful quote. We have the answers in us. We need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. And I feel that the world, like, more people don't even have enough time with themselves. Like, they don't even have up to 15 minutes with them. Like, they don't even spend time with themselves. It will sound kind of like cheesy, but people don't have time to, like, say, okay, this 20 minutes, they sit down, relax with their thoughts and say, how am I feeling right now?
And I'll challenge people when they say that I don't have the time. I'm like, well, how many hours do you sit on your phone scrolling?
Yeah.
Or how many times do you sit in front of the TV watching, binge watching? And you'll find if you easily have that 10, 15, 20 minutes if you look at it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So true. That's it. I mean, for me, it's a matter of choice, right? The things that are important will make time for them.
100%. Yes.
If what would you want someone listening right now to take away from this episode?
Just to really listen to yourself, trust yourself, and even visualize yourself being successful. Run it through your head several times, because the brain eventually does not know the difference between reality and imagination. So if you vision yourself successful, it will happen.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, thank you so much for that. It's been a pleasure chatting with you. Where can listeners connect and learn more about what you do?
Sure. Well, I'm on all the platforms. On Facebook, I'm on Albert Bramante. LinkedIn, you can find me. Instagram, at Dr. Al Bramante, as well as my website, albertbramante.com. I'd love to hear from you, and any feedback you have from the podcast. I'd love to hear from you.
Cool. Thank you so much for sharing your favorite quotes with us.
Yeah, well, thank you very much again for having me. I'm really happy to be.
Thanks for listening to Relatable Wisdom. If you found something beautiful in this episode, make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you're listening. If you'd like to support the show, you can do that by buying a coffee. The link is in the show notes. Every little bit keeps the conversations going. I'm your host, Wisdom Contour, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep growing.